Okay, now I can stream audio.
Hello, hello.
How's it going?
Good. Can you hear me okay?
So far, yeah. That's coming through loud and clear.
Nice. The video is like way behind, and I don't see it on the Skype window. Is that normal?
Yeah, you won't see it on the Skype window.
Okay.
Public Schools has joined us in the chat room.
I don't get the chat window either. Some strange reason.
Okay, now I can stream audio. I think he found the video.
Oh, cool. There we go. I didn't get the chat window come up for some reason. You still there?
Yeah.
Okay, good.
Here, try this link.
Just get a blank window on the right hand side. Is it any particular browser you guys use?
You may need to activate a plugin to get that one to work. Or allow it.
Yeah, maybe.
Okay, this is episode 286. Oh, that's a cool number. Hopefully we'll have decent performance.
Why is 286 a cool number?
I did call Comcast today. They're sending me a new router. Or, I'm sorry, a new modem. I did. That's sitting over there. No, it's working. It's in use right now, but it doesn't support the higher speeds. Yeah, it won't support. It won't support 50 down. I don't know what the story is.
Should I be hearing Hal? Because I don't.
You don't hear Hal at all?
No.
Okay, let me call you right back.
Okay.
Let me test this. Testing, testing, testing. Can you talk for a second, Hal? I guess you can't. Okay, yeah, it's sending your audio. Let's try again.
Hello.
Do you hear me?
I hear you, yes.
Do you hear Hal?
No.
What the heck? Well, that makes no sense. Can you keep talking for me, Hal? Hal out. What the heck? Do the people in the chat room hear Hal? Well, what the heck? I don't see your audio going. Okay, I need to figure this out clearly. Okay, I'm going to stop this recording. Okay, all the sound's going to go away for a second.
Okay.
Okay, can you still hear Hal?
I'm talking now. Can you hear me now?
Yeah,
Hey.
I can.
Can you hear
How you
Jonathan?
doing?
Can you hear me?
Yeah,
Oh, so
yeah, I can hear you both now.
I just realized that, like, I've been talking to you and assuming that you heard me for, like, 4 minutes or whatever, and just thought you were being rude.
I bet you just thought, yeah.
I was like, oh, he didn't.
Yeah.
I guess he didn't think that was amusing. Oh,
He's
well.
mocking you. You just can't see it.
Yeah.
How's it going, Ellen?
Good, how are you?
Doing pretty good. I had a very VMware day today.
You did? Oh, good.
Yes, I did.
It's always a good day.
Atlanta VMware VMUG Summit.
Okay.
Do you ever go to
Is
those?
that the one that has like 6,000 people that show up?
No, well, no. I mean, it's just a local event, but there
Okay.
was 700 people.
Wow.
I don't have an official count.
That's a good number. That's a good number.
Yeah. I mean, Atlanta will get a good crowd. Not as big as I think there's a couple other biggers, like Wisconsin for some reason gets a really big number.
Uh-huh.
But have you been to some of those events? You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, oh yeah, I've been to a bunch of
those are fun.
A bunch of those. I think
They're
I've
like
been to that
family
one,
reunions, man.
Is there an IRC channel I can join for this or something?
Yeah,
There is.
there is. Go to Freenode.
What's the
It's
yeah? What's it called?
Pound PowerScripting podcast. Although the chat room is a little light tonight, I don't know what the deal is.
Yeah, there weren't as many people last week either.
Yeah. Tell
It
your
wasn't
friends.
working for me. It would not come up, so I've had to go to an actual IRC channel instead. I'm not sure if everybody's getting that. But I tried it
Whoa.
in Windows, I tried it on my
Seems
Mac, and it's working.
Okay, now it says it's okay.
Okay. So this works instead. Okay. Cool, yeah.
At least I'm not dropping frames like crazy.
Oh,
this
yeah, that
week.
was awful. So, I see Alan Renouf in the IRC chat room.
Check you out with the last name. Wow, I'm impressed.
I practiced. I actually did say your name like 4 times today. It was cool.
Oh,
People
okay.
at the VMUG are like, "Oh, hey, listen to your podcast," or "Hey, I read your book," and so we got to talk about
Nice.
Power CLI a little bit, and hey, I've got Alan on my show tonight, that kind of thing.
Okay, cool.
Yes, it is cool. So, all right. So if our audio is good, and is Mark in the chat room? Yeah. Um,
Well, he always shows in there. I don't know if
But
he's
he's
actually
always
paying
here.
attention. Yeah. I was going to be at the configuration management user group meeting, but I may still be at the meeting. I was supposed to do that
When is it?
DSC
Is it tomorrow?
presentation. No, it's I think it's a week or two from now.
oh, okay.
But I was told I can't speak.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Because of... Okay.
I haven't been told why yet. I assume it's so
Yeah.
I don't get asked any questions that I can't answer.
Yeah, that makes sense. That
And
makes
I
sense.
understand they also told somebody else that they could not speak at that
yeah.
event.
So at least it's not just you.
Yeah.
You know, Alan, you know
Why?
where
What's
Jonathan
going
works
on?
now?
No.
I work at the Home Depot now.
Oh, okay. Cool.
Yeah, I'm a senior engineer on their Windows platform team on the server side.
What? You were there as well, though, Hal, right? What?
Yeah.
What?
Yeah, I was there for a year and a half or 2 years or something.
What is this, like a local thing? You've all got to go and do your stint at Home Depot?
Yeah, yeah. Well, they headquarters is in town.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, that was the the headquarters and the founding of Home Depot. It's a local place for me.
Yeah, it's a thing. You do
Yeah,
it.
it's a thing. You do it.
Yeah.
Okay. I didn't know that.
Them and Coca-Cola.
It's like national service.
What are some other companies in town? UPS,
Delta.
Delta,
Some people
yeah.
Do that one.
There's a bunch of decent-sized companies.
Oh,
Headquarters.
congratulations, Jonathan.
Thanks. Which one of the big aircraft was it? Lockheed? It's not Lockheed.
Lockheed used to be big in town. I think they are no longer.
They're still working. They've still got the. They're still working on C-130s. I think.
Are they?
Yeah, but the F-22 project's over.
Mm.
So
Oh, yeah.
that was big for a while.
Yeah. That's a cool plane.
Yeah.
Good times. So, are we good to go? We looking good,
Yeah.
audio-wise?
Yeah.
Excellent. Then let us do the thing with the podcast then. So tonight on the PowerScripting podcast, we are pleased to have with us back again Alan Renouf from VMware. Hey, Alan. How's it going?
Good. How are you, mate?
Doing pretty good. Long time no chat. Glad to hear from you
Yeah,
again.
absolutely.
Let's see. When were you on last time? I'll have to go look it up because I never do that ahead of time. Let's see.
Probably the last release, which was probably about 6 months ago, right?
267. Yeah, you guys do release fairly regularly, though. I see
Yeah,
episode
there you go.
267. Yeah, someone extremely long ago. What date was this? Let's see if there's a date on this. It says April. So April 23rd of this year is when it was posted.
Yeah, just after the last release, then.
Okay.
So I can book my next 6 months of show then.
All right, it's clinched. We'll have you back on in the spring. There we go. That's settled.
Might as well.
That means I can get a release
anytime.
out.
Hey, as long as you got something interesting to talk about, we will have you on. That is not a problem.
We might hope-
Okay, thank you.
Actually,
probably every
we'll
6 months
we'll get
then.
you on at any time that you're welcome for the accent. So, Alan, what is going on? Do you have news? You have a new release? What did you want to talk about today?
We do, yeah. There's a couple of things I wanted to come and talk to you about. The first one was PowerCLI 5.8 R1.
5.8 R1. Are you taking naming cues from Microsoft now?
Yeah, why not? We've got to come up with long names, and we've got to put letters and numbers in there and just keep them going. I'm sure I can get a few little points in there as well.
Because they love Microsoft so much at VMware.
Yeah.
I mean,
That's right. Well,
Hey,
I'm
it's-
good friends with the Microsoft guys.
It is a big world. Co-opetition is a thing. So, 5.8 R1. What does that mean?
It means that it's the one after 5.5 R2.
Oh, come on. Seriously? All right, so people
Yeah,
can go
I
to
know. I mean, why can't we just-
vmware.com/go/PowerCLI, and you've got release notes there, I'm sure. But what's...
Yeah, absolutely.
Tell us the
it does.
good.
So we got a bunch of new stuff in there. I'm not sure if you want to.
Okay, hold on.
But
Wait a second. Hold the show. What?
let's make sure that people know what PowerCLI is.
Oh.
I mean, we assume
That's
that
right.
everybody knows
You've
what
been
it
on
is,
here so
right?
many
Because
times.
it is, well, not only that, but PowerCLI was one of the, the first PowerShell, one of the first companies to support PowerShell was VMware, and PowerCLI
Yeah.
is probably the most active, third-party PowerShell anything in existence, is my guess. That's the most active one I can think of. But let's
Yeah.
at least touch on that
We
for a
do.
second.
Yeah, you know what? Someone should write a book about it.
Someone else? I'm the only one on the podcast who
Yeah.
hasn't written
Yeah,
one about
Jonathan.
it, and I'm not
What is the deal?
qualified, so sorry.
Write your
and
book,
go with it. Yeah, so for those people that don't know what PowerCLI is, it's VMware's commandlet for PowerShell. So we basically give you the ability to manage VMware stuff through PowerShell, and it's been around for a long time now. I want to say at least 8 years. I think
good Lord.
7-8 years, I guess.
Yeah, because VMware
yeah.
is credited. This is official. First third-party Snap-in, wasn't it? Or was it Quest? Oh,
It was close. It was one of the two. It was either the Quest AD
Yeah,
commandlets
Quest had-
or VMware.
Yeah, they had the AD stuff, right? So I'm not sure if they came out first or if VMware did, but either way, they're
Very
both
early.
awesome. Yeah, absolutely. It's something that we generally release every 6 months. We try and release every 6 months, roughly. And we build upon with each release. We cover more stuff. We add new commandlets. We make it faster. Very community-driven type commandlets to manage your VMware environment, all the way from vSphere, the core vSphere, so working with vCenter, working with virtual machines, switches, snapshots, all these kind of words that anyone that manages VMware is used to. And we have a bunch of different snap-ins in there that allow you to work with not only vSphere, but also with vSphere distributed switches, vCloud Director, licensing, image builder and auto deploy, which is basically a way to deploy your ESX images out to your hosts over a Pixie boot. We have commandlets for our cloud, so vCloud Air, and we have commandlets for Site Recovery Manager. And in the 5.8 release, we introduced some even more commandlets.
So, how has the scope of PowerCLI changed in the sense of, and we've said this before, like you track the features of the hypervisor, and you did add some stuff. I'm trying to remember them now. Update Manager, you had a plugin for that.
Yeah, we had a step for that, yeah.
So, for example, I just got asked today, where's Horizon? Where VCAC? So what else can we expect, and what is there anything cooking in that sense of different PowerShell integrations?
Well, we don't just manage vSphere, like you said. We manage VMware Update Manager. We have a snap-in for Site Recovery Manager, which was released in our previous version when I came on 6 months ago, and we spoke about that. We have commandlets for our vCloud Air and vCloud Director clients. As far as I'm concerned, if it's got a public API and I can touch it, I want to cover it with PowerShell. It's no longer just vSphere PowerCLI. It's more of vCloud Suite or VMware PowerCLI. I want to keep going until the entire VMware environment's covered, much like Microsoft wants to bring out a module or a snap-in for all of their products. I want to do the same thing for VMware.
Well, that's awesome.
So with each release, we try and release more and more features. It's proven to be one of the best and most frequently used CLIs from VMware customers. So why not keep giving them what they want and keeping them happy, as far as I'm concerned.
I'm kind of surprised you don't have complete coverage. How close are you to having complete coverage?
Well, VMware keeps changing the bar. Every time we get close, we release a new product, or
right.
we buy a company, or it's hard to keep up. And I always have to have in mind the public API bit as well. because people that use VMware software know that some of our products don't have that public API, and therefore, we perhaps have an API that might change, or we don't have an API for something, which means that I can't really produce PowerShell commandlets because, I want to make sure that we're backwards compatible and all that good stuff, so that you're not relearning your commandlets and relearning the different parameters, or we're not changing them all the time. So, I'm really down to the mercy of the other products and what they do with their APIs before I can actually get PowerShell out there and PowerCLI out there.
So there's a separate team within VMware that's just in charge of the PowerShell support. It's not the responsibility of the product teams that are releasing the new products to provide that support. They're just providing the APIs, and then there's other teams that build the command line, either PowerShell or for other command lines to interact with those products?
It's a bit of both, to be honest with you. I mean, we obviously don't have the common framework criteria like Microsoft does that says, if you release, you have to have a PowerShell support.
Oh, sure.
Because we're not Microsoft at the end of the day, right? So, but we do have a specific team who write the PowerCLI commandlets and make sure that we try and talk to the other internal teams and make them realize the value of PowerCLI. And, a lot of the time that's done by our customers actually coming back in and asking for support from the different products. So, my job is basically herding those people to the right places and giving them advice. And we obviously have a bunch of documents and best practices and kind of ways to write these and ways that we work with the other teams if they want to produce them themselves. And if not, then we have obviously go after them and start hounding them and work with them to cover as much as we can handle in a particular release. I don't have endless resources, so unfortunately I can't create PowerCLI commandlets for absolutely everything as it comes out as much as I would like to. So I end up with a prioritized list of things based upon mainly what I hear from the community, also, issues that we find, or just really cool stuff that we want to do, or cool products that are out there.
Drilling down into that, what are some examples of some features that came straight from the community and that you have been able to implement?
That's a good question.
I know.
So,
do that all the time.
You should do this all the time. You do it. One of the first ones was distributed switches. We had that for a long time. People were constantly asking me, when are you guys going to cover distributed switches? And we covered that a while back in one of the previous releases. But that's a definite one that came from the community. We monitor our PowerCLI communities. We have a forum where people can go and they can ask questions and get it answered within 2 minutes by Luke Deakins, or that's if he's asleep.
Is he still doing that?
Oh yeah,
man,
he's fast.
So the whole time,
a lot of the questions he's answered already. So a lot of them now are just like, see my previous post from 3 years ago. Yeah,
he's got it all scripted. So it's fully automated, his responses. He's got PowerShell stuff just running.
So we had
you joke, but he actually did a blog post once on the PowerCLI community about how you can scrape the PowerCLI community with PowerShell. So I firmly believe that he does have a script that answers most of his responses.
That's outstanding.
So you mentioned AIR earlier. Do you mind going into some detail about what that is?
Yeah, absolutely. So vCloud Air is something that we announced at VMworld this year, and it's basically a rename of what we were calling vCloud Hybrid Service. So vCloud Hybrid Service is our hybrid cloud. It's our resources up in the sky that anybody can go in and use. It's the equivalent of Azure or AWS or these kind of things, where you can actually go into a website and request resources and start using them. From VMware's point of view, you can use them as an extension to your data center. Mm-hmm. So you can actually, from the actual web client, you can add them into your vSphere environment through a plugin and manage them in that way, or through PowerCLI, you can actually add a snap-in in and start using your commandlets directly against vCloud Air.
That's nice.
Yeah,
then you're able to take advantage of the skills that you already have to manage your VMware, your data center VMware environment in the cloud.
Absolutely,
with little
that's
to no
right.
change, right?
Yeah, that's right. That's the point, right? I mean, we're trying to make it as easy as possible for you to make that jump over to the cloud. Everybody thinks the cloud's this scary thing. I think people are starting to realize what it is and start talking about it in a more uniform way and realize that it's not as scary as we first thought. It just takes, some different thinking. And, specifically with VMware, we do treat it like an extension of your data center so that you can actually manage it in the same way, use the same tools, and really use it as if it was just another data center in another location.
So let's go back to PowerCLI, your new release, and kind of dive into some of the features that you'd kind of outlined earlier. Trying to get back to what
absolutely. So the first thing that we did in 5.8 was we released a new snap-in called a storage snap-in, and that's not to say we haven't had storage commandlets for a long time. We've obviously had commandlets that allow you to work with data stores, with LUNs, with VMFS volumes. But this time what we did is we actually separated it out because we worked with the storage team, and the storage team is actually coming out with a lot of good commandlets and doing a great job. And in this release, they brought out some commandlets for something called storage policy-based management, or storage profiles, or storage policies, as they were previously known. So we released, I think, roughly like 15 to 20 commandlets that allow you to work with storage policy-based management. And basically, this is a feature that allows you to create rules around what your storage looks like. So you can have a bunch of different data stores, you can have a bunch of different LUNs, and you can tag them with certain properties. So you can say that maybe some of these storage LUNs are replicated to a certain level, or they work.
So now you can apply some of that business logic around how you have multiple tiers of storage with different service levels and features. Okay.
Absolutely, yeah, that's right. So when you deploy a virtual machine, you no longer deploy it to a data store, you actually deploy it to a profile. So you say, I want this virtual machine to be on the best storage ever, and I want it to be replicated and all that jazz, right? You end up with a level of service for a virtual machine on a certain particular storage, and we always make sure that that's achievable. And the great thing about that as well is it's not just manual tagging of these data stores as well, but what we also do is we allow the storage to surface up its properties as well. We actually allow the different storage vendors to say, hey, you know what, this LUN is an amazing LUN. So let me tag it with a bunch of different stuff, and then when you create these rules, you can actually choose the properties you want from these rules, and then just use those as part of your gold policy, or whatever you want to call it.
Awesome. So we've got a couple questions stacked up in the chat room. Tell us about backwards compatibility. How do you address that, and can you use these commandlets to connect against previous versions of vCenter?
Yeah, absolutely. We take backwards compatibility seriously. We obviously want to make sure that we support up to the latest. We want to support as far back as we can, and obviously we need to move on and we need to progress in the future. But we try and support as much as we can. I'm trying to see where we go back to. Mm-hmm. I believe it's vSphere 4 and ESX4 update 3 off the top of my head. Mm-hmm. I'm just bringing up the release notes right now. But it's roughly around there. Where is it?
All right, cool. So what about some of the specific features that are like the storage and the tagging that you're just talking about? How far back does that go?
Well, that goes back to storage and features. They're newer in the vSphere releases, so they'll obviously only go back as far as when they were introduced.
So you can have a set of commandlets that wouldn't work, that would work against part of your environment, but not another part if there were different versions, in theory.
Exactly. Yeah, I mean, it would come back and say, hey, you know what, you're running ESX4 and we don't actually have storage policy-based management in there, so it's not really worth using these commandlets right now.
So there's a question about
and
the
I-
difference between custom attributes and tags, and how it seems that some kind of fit some use cases a little better than others, and our custom attributes going away. Can you expand on that?
Oh wow, that's more than a Power CLI question.
I
That's
know it
more
is,
of a
yeah.
vSphere question. Yeah. I don't mind answering questions like that actually. So when we bought out tags, we said, hey, this is going to replace custom attributes. The reality of it was that it wasn't a key value pair, so it never did actually fully replace custom attributes because people had key value pairs in there.
Mm-hmm.
So we've got a little bit of work to do on tagging. Unfortunately, custom attributes aren't available via the web client, which is the client that we're telling everybody to use at the moment.
Mm-hmm.
They're only available via the C# client or the thick client. And tags aren't available in the C# client. So we've kind of got a mixed story at the moment as far as the metadata goes. But tags are really a way to give you kind of buckets to put your virtual machines in. So tag categories and tags, and make sure that they're in there. But you will see tags being progressed to include the features that we are missing at the moment. And in the future, you'll see those be picked up, and we'll have a better story right there.
Well, as the best comment in the chat room so far, I have a PowerCLI script to fix that, to convert custom attributes to tags. Right. There you go.
Yeah.
So let's see. There were several other questions, actually, so thank you, everybody, for doing that. Let's see. Going back to Air, and then we'll come back to PowerCLI again. Is there a free tier of Air?
Oh, wow, licensing? Seriously?
If you don't know, then say, I don't know.
I don't know.
Okay, fair enough. All right, next.
You guys have a website, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Google it, guys.
Google Cloud Air. I think there's an eval that you can get at the moment where you can actually go and try out vCloud Air. And I believe it's a 60-day thing, so you can actually go check it out. You can load some resources up there and mess around with it.
No problem.
Tell them I sent you.
So, can you manage vCloud Air with the standard, with the same PowerCLI snap-in, or do you need a different one?
No, you actually need a different snap-in. So at the moment, you remember we had some vCloud director commanders, and whereas in your vSphere environment you would do a get VM, in your vCloud environment you would do a get CI VM. So the CI commanders are the ones that work with vCloud Air.
Gotcha.
Yes.
So, snap-in. Why is PowerCLI still a snap-in? That was a question from the chat room. That's not me, Alan.
Surely you didn't know that was coming, right?
We have this question every 6 months, yes.
Yes, we're going to have it every 6 months until they're modules, my friend. I think that's the way this works.
I know, exactly. Well, when I go back to the dev team, I'm going to go, look, I'm on that show again in 6 months. Please give me something nice to say.
Hey, you're the PM now.
No, it's a good question, and it's always one of those ones that I have to weigh up the functionality vs the module, right? And at the moment, it's not a huge ask from our customers. I mean, everybody's like, hey, when are you guys going to do modules? And I'm like, why do you want modules?
And they're like, I don't want to answer that question again. I've answered that question for you 10 times.
I know. I believe me, look, I see the value in modules. I do, right? But on the other hand, I also see the amount of work it's going to take us, not only from the PowerCLI team, but from the other teams at VMware that are producing snap-ins, to actually convert them over. And, we're not Microsoft, so I cannot say this is the way we do things now. I have to suggest that this is the way we do things. And other teams have different features that they want to bring out in their products, and PowerCLI isn't always the highest feature that they want to update. So it's one of those things. I'm working on it, and I'm working on it.
All right.
That's going to be a big problem with providing DSC support, not having a module.
Oh.
Why is that?
Well, because that's kind of the way that the DSC custom resources, they're basically modules. So you can take a PowerShell module and use it in DSC, but it wouldn't work with a snap-in.
It wouldn't. So you can't. I mean, I don't know.
You could write a custom resource to add the snap-in, and
Right.
create a mechanism by which it would come down to the machine or whatever. But yeah, I'm just pulling your chain.
No, keep
that's
pulling.
cool. No, keep going, because this is good stuff. I mean, I'm learning about DSC at the moment. I wanna start messing with that and doing cool things. And actually, I've been emailing Jeffrey over the last couple of days about it, which is pretty cool. And that's great information. I didn't actually know that. I didn't know it wouldn't work with snap-ins.
Well,
so I guess I'll hit that.
What can happen, right? You can create your own custom PowerShell resources, and they're modules. And if you use them in a configuration, if you're in a pull server environment, that machine will automatically say, "Hey, I need this resource, which is a module," and we'll pull it down from the pull server and expand it, unzip it locally. So you could do the same thing.
I could specify certain nodes that this would run on, and you'd still get the same result, though, right?
Yes, I mean it depends on where you need.
Yeah,
it depends on where you need the
run that code
functionality
from, because snap-ins aren't portable; they must be installed. Whereas a module can be done just in time.
Okay.
Yeah, and it may
That's
not.
cool.
It may not even make sense to do it that way. I mean, it all depends on what your scenario is. I mean, how often do you need the VMware clients on a Windows box? The VMware commandlets on a Windows box
usually
that
when
you're
on a management station.
Yeah, you need it on a management station. So, like I said,
Exactly.
Yeah,
it could be one of those things where we just specify where it runs, or it could be, I mean, obviously I would prefer it as a module, and you just give me yet another reason why we should go to modules. So, it's a +1 for the modules camp right there.
Mm-hmm. Excellent. So we'll check back with you in 6 months.
Yeah, please do.
So
and I'll think of a better answer.
see that you do. Let's see. Looking at the release notes for PowerCLI 5.8 R1. So are you going to have an R2?
Yeah.
What did you say R1 for? And why 5.8?
Release 1, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, you don't want to know the politics of what goes around. Seriously, and giving something a number is not simple. It might seem like we should just add 1, but yeah. What happens if we have to patch it, and what happens if something else happens? It's like 50 million things. There's like a whole matrix type thing that you have to go through to get to these numbers, believe me. Don't give me a hard time about the numbers.
All right.
It's a number,
Developers.
all right?
So here's an easy question: can you silently install PowerCLI?
Sure, you can. It's an MSI, so you can just give it a /Q and get it out there. You know what? You can even write a DSC resource that installs PowerCLI.
You could.
That would work.
That's pretty cool. So you could write a
That would work.
There you go.
That would work just fine.
So we don't need modules. You just need to write the resource before you actually use PowerCLI to install PowerCLI.
Well, you can do that, right? You can say it depends on, PowerCLI and have it. Yeah, that'd work.
There you go. Just don't tell the developers, all right?
Well, the request in the chat room now is next time you come on in 6 months, bring one of your developers, and we'll put them in the module hot seat.
Nice. Yeah. Okay, I'll do that. Some of the other stuff
here's another one. So PS-GET and PowerShell GET, these are other reasons for modules. So you know how Linux has RPM or IPT-GET or whatever. PowerShell is going to have that functionality, and these things are also distributed in modules.
And that's called PS-GET now, is it? I thought it was one-GET.
I forget, dude. Seriously, Microsoft, remember what we're talking about.
We could start a nasty lie rumor and start telling people, oh yeah, PowerShell version 5, Snap-in support's going away.
There you go. There, see, Snap-in is going away. But no, seriously, I mean, you could have a VMware PowerCLI repository, right? It's like a server running NuGet or whatever with a web service, and people can just type in what is it, Jonathan? Is it install package? Oh, I'm not up to date on it. Install package PowerCLI, hit enter, done.
Yeah.
Update package, done.
You know what? You don't have to convince me of the reasons why we should be using modules, all right? I have got a list as long as my arm for the reasons that we should be using modules right now. But as I said, it's not a priority to the other teams. It's a priority to me, believe me, right? I want to get modules out there, and I want the other teams to do it. Now, if Microsoft said, hey, in PowerShell 5, we're getting rid of Snap, hit the other teams with it, say... Not. Do you have to prioritize this? But
all of a sudden,
your stuff ain't gonna work.
Yeah.
So how often do you get that question? And is it your very least favorite question?
I don't mind the question. I love that question. I know that we need it, and I want to do it. It's not that I don't want to do it. I see why we need to do it. It's just, politics. You gotta love them.
So I'm looking at the release notes, and I see here the mention of a new parameter, and I don't know what it does. So tell me what a related object parameter does and how you would use that.
Related object parameter. Let me try and think of it.
So this is talking about get hard disk commandlet.
Yeah, and I can't remember how we use that one specifically, but I think you can provide it with a data store. So it's basically like. Okay, I've got this virtual machine. I've got this hard disk.
Mm-hmm.
Get me the related data stores, or where's this stored? So you can actually go out there and say, here's my hard disk for my VM. Get the related object, and it will come back with the data store that it's actually on.
Okay, awesome.
Yeah. It's a small feature, but it's one of those things that's actually quite nice because you don't have to do, a bunch of looking up of IDs and then, working out what ID that is and what data store ID that comes from. It's just, we do all the hard work for you and just bring back the results straight away.
Yeah, and that's kind of consistent with what I'm seeing on the release notes. I haven't read them in a little while.
Yeah.
There's a lot of tweaks, and it's a lot of time-saving tips, and it's, making this consistent, and... I like it. It's like this continual process for you guys.
It's great because, like I said, a lot of this comes from the community because we actually see the issues that people come up with, and it's not just we want support for this new thing, but it's more like, okay, this is a great commandlet right here, but it's actually quite hard to use, or these are a bunch of great commandlets, but they're hard to relate together. So we do actually try and go back and make sure that we not only introduce new features, but also fix anything that's hard to use as well. And that's often the stuff that makes it, that much better and makes it quicker to write scripts and easier to use. One of my favorite things from the 5.8 release was actually a new commandlet that we introduced called get OVF configuration.
Oh, yeah?
So for those people that have ever deployed any VMware software, you know that we package our software in OVFs or OVAs, and this is a format that basically is a tar file with an XML that describes what the disk looks like and what the virtual machine looks like. Mm-hmm. And when you deploy one of these, you can, if you're deploying it through the web client or through the C# client, you'll get a nice wizard that comes up that says, okay, what do you want the host name to be? What do you want the IP address to be? How big do you want this to be? A small or a medium or an extra large type environment? And it basically allows you to set some of the configuration so that when you deploy it,
that way you don't have to go into the operating system and set the IP address.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. So what we did is we actually enabled you to read that configuration with this get OVF configuration command. So you can actually specify an OVF or an OVA file and say, get OVF configuration login site.ova, and it'll actually give you the configuration for that OVA, and you can go through and fill out some of the information in that object. So you can say $login site.ip address equals 192.168.0.1, and dot password equals VMware, and actually go through and fill out those entries. and then use the import VApp commandlet with the OVF configuration parameter to push that OVF to your virtual environment and deploy it.
Nice.
And it seems like a small thing, and like okay, yeah, that's pretty cool. Okay, but when you think about it, like, okay, what if you have a new data center, and you want to deploy 20 different VMware products? What you can actually do is script the deployment of your products now, and kind of script the configuration out, so that you're not just deploying them one by one and doing that kind of manual pointy clicky stuff, but you're actually deploying a bunch of our software at the same time, and you get the same results.
Very good. That's awesome. So I'm looking at your blog, and I found 2 posts that I wanted to dive into a little bit. The first one is the one about performance. So, and this was actually a question in the chat room as well. Can you tell us about the performance changes and what you changed and what that's resulted in?
Yeah, so when we, this goes way back. I mean, this is another one of those things that came from the community, right? What we realized is that a lot of people were using PowerCLI as a monitoring tool. It's a great way to retrieve the information from your virtual infrastructure, and a lot of people were actually going out there and checking certain things on a regular basis. So maybe every 5 minutes you would go out and check your data store space to make sure you're not running out.
Sure.
Maybe you use the results of that to push it into your own custom monitoring system, or you send an email, or you do something like that. And that's just one of the examples. And so when you start PowerCLI in the previous releases, you would know that the first time you ran a commandlet, it would take about, 23 to 20 to 30 seconds for that first commandlet to run.
Mm-hmm.
So there was some optimization we had to do there, some enginning, the deserializer assemblies, to actually make sure that after PowerCLI was installed, that those kind of things were fixed and it was all working absolutely fine. And I think this is a byproduct of us having a snap-in, but I'm not 100% sure on that one.
No, but that's awesome. That's a really huge difference. If you page down to the bottom of the blog post, which we'll put in the show notes, it went from 23 seconds down to 1 second, with the second run even being faster than that.
That's awesome.
Absolutely. Yeah, it's we like I said, we constantly try and make it better. We constantly try and make it faster, and this is just one of those examples where we saw people using it in a certain way, and we wanted to help them out there, because you might not notice it if you just use the console interactively, because you kind of go in there, launch it when you want to use it, and then go in and start running commandlets. But in a monitoring situation, if you're running it maybe every 30 seconds and it takes 23 seconds to start up,
right,
then you suddenly start getting overlap, right?
Yeah, that reminds me of when I was at Home Depot making scripts for monitoring, and the way that the tool worked, we had basically a 7-second window. If your script couldn't finish in 7 seconds, then you couldn't do it. So yeah, every little optimization was important. So
it all helps.
Awesome.
Yeah.
So the other blog post, this is interesting. I didn't know about this. What are power actions?
I'll talk about those in a minute, because that's the cool stuff right there.
Yeah, somebody today at the VMUG Summit was like, "Hey, is Alan going to talk about power actions?" I didn't know what they were talking about, so I can't wait.
Oh, you'll love this, seriously. So let me finish off on the 5.8 stuff first, because Power Actions isn't part of that.
All right.
So we've gone through the SPBM commandlets, we've gone through the OVF and OVA, we've talked a little bit about the related object. Some of the other stuff we did was update our support for vCloud Director and Site Recovery Manager. So we've had new releases of those products come out. And obviously, vCloud Air is out there as well. So we want to make sure we support the latest versions of the APIs, and you can access all the information. You might remember back from your VMware days how that we had the get view commandlet, which was kind of our backdoor that allows you to access the entire API and allow you to work with anything you like. Well, we had something similar for vCloud Director, which is get CI view. And that, again, allows you to actually access the entire API for vCloud Air and vCloud Director and work with whatever you want. And actually, we do a similar thing with the Site Recovery Manager commandlets as well, and actually allow you to access everything you need to from Site Recovery Manager. So we went back and updated those to work with the latest version and support a bunch more actions and methods and properties that were in the API. We did some error reporting. We actually made some enhancements there. We realized that some of the information we were giving back from the vSphere API was just actually the summary information. And whilst the API has been enhanced and given you a lot more details, we didn't double back and actually give you that information. So what we do now is we pull the complete information so that if you ever get an error, if vSphere ever spits back an error about something not working, you not only get the summary, you get the full details now, which will help you work out, why something didn't work and adjust it in the right way.
Nice.
Yeah, so it's a bunch of different stuff that we've introduced there, and a lot of it is setting the scene for future releases as well.
So before I get too far distracted by the news that I must announce that Jonathan bought a Charbroil True Infrared grill. We can talk about that later, Jonathan. I'm a little disappointed in you. So tell us about Power Actions. I'm really eager to hear this.
Oh, Power Actions is awesome. It's something I showed at VMworld last year, and it's one of those things where I'm used to presenting at VMworld. This year is my 6th year of presenting at VMworld. Last year I stood up, I talked about some stuff, and then I gave a preview at the end of a cool thing that we were working on internally, which didn't have a name at that time. But as I spoke about it, as I gave the demonstration, we actually had people stand up and start clapping at the end. It was that good.
Wow.
It was one of those things where I was like, okay, this is awesome. So we've taken our time with it because we wanted to get it right. And what Power Actions is it's a fling at the moment. So it's something that, if you don't know what a fling is from VMware, it's our way to release something out into the community as kind of a test or something that our developers work on mainly in their spare time because they think it's cool. And then we kind of release it as okay, check this out. It's a technology preview. Mess around with it. Tell us what you think. If you like it, let us know because we can take it further. So it's one of those things that's available on our VMware Labs and VMware Flings site. You can go and download it. And what it does is you download an MSI file. You choose a Windows server or a Windows workstation machine, something with PowerShell on it, and you install this MSI file. And what the MSI file does is it first of all sets up a PowerShell host, and then it second of all sets up a web client plugin. So the vSphere web client that most people are used to using isn't extendable via scripting, other than vCenter Orchestrator. So what we actually do is we add our plugin in there that allows you to use PowerCLI as a console through your web client. Oh. So you can now run your web client on a Mac, for example, and have access to PowerCLI.
That
you get all the cool stuff like, and that's not the best part of it. I mean, that's just one of the features.
Okay.
So, instantly everybody gets PowerCLI because if you log into the web client, you get a PowerCLI prompt and you can start using it in your infrastructure and working with PowerCLI. Because, even the Mac guys and the Linux guys, they love PowerShell and they see this stuff and they're like, damn, I wish we had that on Linux.
Well, maybe the honest ones, but...
Yeah, and we're sharing the love with those guys now, So
they're not bragging too much the last day or two.
Yeah, not only that, but what we enable them to do is right-click on a menu item, an object like a data store or a data center or a cluster or a virtual machine, and you now have a PowerCLI menu action. When you go to that, you can actually create a entry. So you can say, okay, create me a script. And it will take you through a small wizard that says, okay, what do you want this script to do? You can paste code in there, And then next time you right-click on that object, you can actually run the code for that, and it will take that as an input. So this is like...
epic.
This is, truly epic. I mean, we could right-click on a virtual machine and say, okay, create a script that gives us a list of the snapshots that are over 60 days old, or, right-click on a cluster and do the same thing. Now, when I right-click on it and go, give me the snapshots that are over 60 days old, it not only returns the actual results, but returns them in the web client. So we do the translation. You don't get them as an actual PowerCLI script coming back, so just a bunch of text. You actually get a window inside your web client that gives you a nice web client form with the results in there.
Interesting. So, and I've got a link in the show notes to this blog post. Does it show that screen as well?
Yeah, and there's a video. If you actually go to the Flink site as well, there's a video there. And if you go to virtual.net, there's a video that I shot that shows you me using this. I show you how I install it, and then I show you how it returns the results as well. And this is like truly epic, because the use cases are just so many that it's unbelievable. I mean, you can basically extend the web client to add any functionality from any script that you like now.
Whoa.
And remember, it's a PowerShell console, not a PowerCLI console. So if you want to add Active Directory features in there, if you want to add NetApp features in there, if you want to add, who knows, right? You add all these different entries to a right-click in vSphere now.
That is pretty cool.
It's very cool. And not only can you create your own scripts in there, you can actually have a folder on the actual PowerShell host where you install the MSI that has a bunch of shared scripts. So the shared scripts are viewable by everybody and can be used by everybody. So it's one of those things where if you've got a bunch of people in your environment that are used to writing PowerCLI code, or if you've got some scripts that everybody normally uses, you can now actually store them on the server and just present those to everybody and allow them to right-click and use them. So they don't even need to be PowerCLI experts. They just need to, right-click on an object and do a certain task. You can actually do that.
Can you do it as a certain user on the back end, so you don't have to give them those rights to whatever it is they need to do? Just let them run it via a script?
Yeah, by default, it'll actually use your logged-in user that you're logged into the web client with. But what you can do is you can actually obviously alter the script to prompt for credentials, or you can actually hard code some credentials, or even use a cred store to store different credentials and use those to actually run the script as well.
That's cool.
It's very cool. And I wrote a script the other day that actually goes one step further. It goes to a GitHub site and downloads a bunch of pre-written shared scripts, so that it'll actually pull all the scripts down that have been written by the community and put them straight into your web client for you in the shared scripts folder. So it means that you can instantly pull back a bunch of pre-written scripts and use those in your environment as well. So, not only do you have the ability to create your own, but you can actually learn from the community and use stuff from the community as well.
Awesome.
I wouldn't recommend doing that, but it's very cool functionality.
All right, awesome. Thank you for that. That's good stuff. So we'll definitely...
Yeah, and I
there's so many scenarios where that would be so powerful.
Well, it's fun. It's kind of like a blend of different solutions that we've seen over time.
Yeah.
You're thinking about Power GUI, PowerShell Web Access. So it's related to similar concepts, but having it in line with your GUI management tool, all of a sudden that's web based, right? So it makes it very accessible.
Absolutely. Yeah, and this is the client that everybody's used to using. So if we suddenly add functionality in there that they can extend it to do anything they want, then it's pretty damn awesome.
Yeah.
And the call to action from this is obviously go download it, check it out, mess around with it, and tell me what you think. If it's one of those things where you think this is awesome and here's what I've done, then let me know, because the more feedback I get on this and the more the more things we do with it, the the likelihood is that I can take it further. The more popularity it has, the easier it is for me to go back internally and say, you know what, our customers love this stuff. Yeah. Let's start supporting it. Let's bring it out. Let's do something with it.
So as a fling, it is not supported by the support team, correct?
Correct. I mean, we've got the engineers constantly looking at the actual fling site and helping out wherever possible. Gotcha. But that's not the same as
SLA.
Full-time. Yeah, exactly right.
Okay. Awesome.
And it's also one of those things where it takes people a while to sink in, and they and then they'll suddenly go back and they'll start using the web client, and then they'll come back to me and go, I just thought of a really cool use case and I just did it and it works,
Yeah, that's pretty cool when you get to hear that from somebody. It can change their life,
Yeah. I mean, instantly I saw people jump on it and start adding the right-click stuff that they use the console for.
Yeah. So it looked like a pretty long blog post. You want to take us through at a high level the installation steps? Just really high level?
Yeah, I mean, it's the installation is pretty easy, actually. When you install it, you just run the MSI file. It asks you where your vCenter is. It asks you what the server is that's the PowerShell host, and it's the server that you're installing it on. We're going to make the install easier as we go along, but it was one of those things that I wanted to get out the door right now, rather than keep adjusting until we got to the point that it's 3 years later and we still haven't released it yet.
Yeah, that's the way these flings work. I get that.
Yeah, exactly. There's stuff we can do to make it easier. But at the moment, it's out there and run through the MSI. It's not too complicated, but, check out the video that I put on my site, because that really does take you through the install, and I talk you through it and explain what's going on there, and then show you how to use it.
Awesome. So if people have comments on it, they should go to leave them at the Fling website?
Yes, please.
Okay.
Or feel free to drop me an email. renufe@vmware.com.
Renufe. Awesome. Yep, got links in the show notes for different for your blog posts on your own site, and for the Fling address and all that good stuff. So excellent. Yeah, there's already interest in our chat room tonight. So excellent. And like I said, somebody asked me about it today at the VMUG Summit. So I'm sure you'll get some people jumping right on it, which is awesome.
That's a good sign.
Yes, definitely. Okay, cool. Anything else we needed to cover before we let you go tonight?
No, I don't think so. I just want to, again, say if there's features that we can improve, if there's something you're missing, if there's something we can do with PowerCLI, we're very community-based. I love hearing from people, even if it's, I find writing this command hard, or it doesn't work the way I expect it to.
Or I want a
even
module.
As simple as something. Yeah, or I want a module. I'm going to get like 50 emails in my inbox tomorrow to say module. Please do. Send me an email. I love hearing feedback, and I love taking it back. And even if you think it's something I've heard of before, it probably, even if it is, it gets a +1 in my list, and it moves up the list of stuff that we should be doing.
Good to know you're listening, as always.
Yeah.
So I have a question for you. What's a good way for people to learn PowerCLI, and what VMware products are covered, and what commandlets do what, that sort of information? Are there any good resources out there for that?
Oh, there's a ton of good resources. I mean, there was a book that was written a long time ago by this guy in the community.
Ancient.
Some guy called Hal Rottenberg or Rotenberg.
That's pretty close, yeah.
So I can't pronounce his last name. These last names are really hard to pronounce. I still think that's a great book to learn from, because you did a great job of covering the basics there. And even if our commands have moved on since then, it's still rock solid book, and it's awesome. And there's been a number of different books that have come out since then. I'm looking at my bookshelf right now. There's one that I wrote with Luke Deakins and Glenn Sizemore and Arnim van Nyshout and Jonathan Med. that goes more into an example-based type book and shows you, here's some scripts we wrote, and here's how we break them down, and here's what they're useful for. There's a book that recently came out by Robert let me see if I can pronounce his name. Robert Van den Nieuwenhuizen.
Yeah, I do remember him from the community. He's been around a long time, too.
Yeah. So search for Robert and Power CLI if I were you. And you'll find his book. It's called Learning Power CLI. And that's a great book to get started. There's also the Train Signal. I think they're now called Pluralsight.
Pluralsight,
yeah. There's a bunch of videos on there that, again, Hal Rotenberg produced, and they're awesome because they're a more interactive way of doing it. When you install Power CLI, you actually get a PDF that we give you with it that goes through a bunch of different use cases and gets you started. We have the hands-on labs, so if you want to mess around with an environment that isn't yours and you want to trash it, or you want to actually see what you can do, then sign up for the VMware hands-on labs. I think it's hol.vmware.com. You can sign up for those for free. You can get an environment, you can log into it, and you can run through the manual, or you can just use Power CLI to work with the environment as much as you like.
Now, I know that there's this guy called Power CLI Man that sometimes shows up at conferences and stuff and does demonstrations. Is any of that on YouTube or available?
I think there's a couple of videos. In fact, I saw him at VMworld this year as well.
Oh, did you?
He was in the NetApp session. If you Google him, you'll actually see him turn up as well.
Does Glenn still work?
No, I
He's still at NetApp.
Is he?
Mm-hmm.
I haven't heard from that guy in forever.
Yeah, I email with him once now and again. So I had another question for you. What VMworld, was pretty recently, not that long ago. Was there anything really new and cool? What was like the coolest thing that you saw at the show?
Oh, everything's cool at VMworld. Come on.
I know that, but if you had to pick one.
I work for VMware. Everything's cool.
All right, now.
Everything is awesome.
Well, yeah, exactly. Obviously, the best thing I saw at VMworld this year was Power CLI 5.8. But
the second best.
Oh, you're making me pick now, and whatever I pick is going to be the wrong answer because I'm going to go back to work and they're going to be like, hey. What did I see that was awesome? Seriously, I don't know. I tell you what, this week I went to PuppetConf, and my brain is just absolutely fried at the moment.
Oh, yeah.
Because I learned so much over the last 3 days about the way that Puppet works, about configuration management, and about DevOps and the culture of DevOps as a whole.
It's really interesting stuff.
My brain is... Yeah, it was super interesting stuff, but it has completely fried my brain, and trying to think back to VMworld and what actually happened, past last night is super hard for me right now.
Puppet doesn't work with snap-ins, right? You knew that, right?
Yeah, it does. Yeah, it does. Do you want to bet on that? If you install the Puppet agent on the machine that has Power CLI installed, you can actually call Power CLI through their PowerShell resource that they have.
Do they really have a PowerShell resource?
Yeah, they have a PowerShell resource.
Because I don't think we've talked about that on the show.
They do some good work. They do some good work with PowerShell, being able to call PowerShell and work with PowerShell and manipulate Windows environments. They got some great examples out there of doing that.
Yeah, they've come a long way since we had them on the show.
Interesting.
Yeah, they're moving that way.
Blog post titled
got,
Windows having its ass kicked by Puppet in PowerShell. I
spent time with Rob Rendell last week as well. The author of Chocolatey.
Oh, yeah. Rob,
and he works for Puppet.
Rob Reynolds.
Yes, Reynolds, sorry. Yeah, he works for Puppet.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we had him on the podcast twice. Once before about Chocolatey, and the second time was as the first Windows developer at Puppet.
Okay.
So it was a different...
Cool.
Yeah, now we've got Steve Morawski at Chef.
Mm-hmm.
So
it's spreading.
yeah.
Oh, he works at Chef?
He's
one
been
of
at
their
Chef
community
for
leaders now.
2 months, maybe?
Yeah.
Maybe a little longer.
Sounds about right.
Yeah. He
That's
left
pretty awesome.
Stack Exchange and went to Chef.
That's pretty cool. That's great for him. I mean, it's cool technology.
Yeah. Yeah, I think he's loving it.
Yeah, I'm really interested in this configuration management stuff at the moment. I think it's a complete mind shift from what as an admin I used to do.
Mm-hmm.
But it's super cool stuff, and it's I understand why they say it's more of a culture than it is a technology. Doing this kind of stuff, because it really does change the way you think about managing your systems.
So have you? I don't know. Did you see was Gene Kim there by any chance, or do you know who he is?
Yes, he was. Yeah, he was there. He actually gave one of the keynotes. He spoke there.
Yeah,
and
he's a
I've
great
read his
speaker.
book before as well.
I haven't read the
He's
book
a great guy,
before,
yeah.
but I have seen a few interviews with him where he kind of talks through the story.
You haven't read the Phoenix Project?
I haven't. No, even though Steve Morawski gave me a copy of it, I lost it.
Oh wow! You need to.
You can
need
borrow
to
my
buy
copy.
that.
I've got it on my bookshelf upstairs.
Actually, I may do that.
Yeah, there's not many books I recommend, but that's certainly one of them. Even from the point that you'll read it and go, "I worked with that guy. I worked with that guy. I know that guy," and then and then just it's a geeky technology and a great book to read. Some valuable lessons to learn from it.
Awesome. All right, well, let's go ahead and wrap it up for tonight. I guess we have one more question for you, Alan. As you know, we do like to have a final question. So,
Yeah.
can you tell us
what is it this time?
what is your favorite book? Science fiction, fantasy, it could be nonfiction.
That was a true segue right there, wasn't it?
It turned out to be.
I mean, we were talking about books. Wow, that's good. My favorite book, I would have to say it's the Da Vinci Code.
Really? I've read that one
I
and
really
one or two
enjoy
others of his.
Cheat Code. Yeah, it's one of those books. I'm reading another one of his at the moment. I don't remember what it's called, but the follow-on book from that was the one at CERN. Oh, Angels and Demons. That was also a very good book.
Mm-hmm.
But I think the Da Vinci Code was actually pretty cool. I just loved. I love the story behind it. I love the way it plays out, and it's an interesting subject.
Yeah, I think I liked the way that there were so many moving pieces and characters, and it was really kind of complex, and the whole conspiracy theory
definitely.
aspect of it too. Yeah, good stuff. Oh, and people want to
keeps you
know
going.
what is on the wall behind you.
Oh, the dragon. That's my kite.
It is a
Cool.
kite. Okay.
Is it a stunt kite or just a cool looking kite?
It's a cool looking kite. It's actually made out of wood and like a silky material. I bought it in France a long time ago. I've never flown it because I don't want to break it. 'Cause it's so nice, and it's hand painted.
Oh, that's neat.
Yeah.
Well, awesome.
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
Well, thanks a lot, Alan, for coming and spending a lot of time with us tonight and giving us the update. It's always great to have you on.
Oh, I have a last minute question.
Oh.
Sorry.
Geez, Jonathan, I just said goodbye.
Yeah.
Well, I want to know about the Get Scripting podcast. Are you still on that? Because I know you weren't on the last episode that came out.
Oh, you know what? When I came on this, I just thought Jonathan Med is going to kill me. Because he's going to be like, oh, so you can't come on our own podcast, but you can go on theirs. What's going on?
Well, you did
it's
emigrate from him.
I know. Now I've moved over here, and I've got this job at VMware, and I've just been so damn busy recently. I haven't had the chance to catch up with Jonathan. It's like never worked out. We've never had that perfect storm, but it's so hard to actually get us scheduled. I think we spent so long trying to get on the same show last time, and then at the last minute, something else would come up, either from me or from him, that we just said, you know what, go ahead ahead and do it without me right now. So I'll be back. It's something I still love doing, and I love talking to Jonathan. He's a fantastic guy, and I love the show. It's just one of those things that we need to actually work out when the heck we're going to find time to do and make our calendars work and time schedules work.
Yeah, so for our listeners, in case you're not aware, there's another PowerShell podcast. It is the Get Scripting podcast, and you should check it out. It's good stuff. It doesn't come out as often as ours, but they do a lot of the tips and resources that we don't really do anymore. They cover a lot of that stuff. So, and they've got great guests, and it's a great show. You should check it out if you haven't heard it already.
And we will put a link in the show notes for everybody.
Yeah, I think it's a Get Scripting at blogspot.com or something.
Yeah, that's right.
Yes. Yeah.
Well, very good. Thank you again, Alan. We appreciate it.
No, thank you guys. I always love coming on this show. You know, I can't wait for next release just so I can come on the show.
Well, maybe we could do one in 4 months if you want.
Yeah, there you go.
You can do the big reveal that now we have modules.
And if you don't, then I want to hear from your lead developer.
Okay. if
bring us his head.
I want the head.
When I'm on the next show with the developer, you're going to know what's happening, right?
Come back with a module or on it.
I'm gonna send this link to them all and get them to listen to it, and then they'll be too scared on this show.
Right.
We'll call them out. No big deal. All right, Alan. It's been fun. Thanks again, and we'll talk to you next time.
Take care.
Oh, I just want to actually say,
sure.
Before you put it down, obviously, it's not the developer's fault that we don't have modules. It's my fault, obviously, because I'm the product manager. I'm the guy that keeps prioritizing other stuff in front of modules. So don't give them a hard time. They're an awesome bunch.
I knew it was your fault the whole time. I know what a product manager does.
And now I'm really going to say goodbye.
All right. Talk to you later.
Good night.
Thanks, man.
Anytime. And thanks to everybody in the chat room. For the small number of relative people that showed up, you guys were awesome. We had a lot of great questions, so that was really killer.
Alan didn't say cheers. He must be getting Americanized.
Mm-hmm. Yep, he is.
Oh, did I not? Wow. Oh dear. I didn't say dude though.
You did say awesome just about as many times as I did.
You need to hang out with Ed Wilson more, and you'll be saying dude.
Yeah, dude.
Yeah.
I actually say totally a lot in regular conversation.
Oh man,
the local thing in Santa Cruz is right on, but it doesn't sound good when an English person says right on, because the Americans, you guys say it so much better, and I just cannot do it.
Well, there's plenty of things you say very well, and we secretly envy you.
One of the things that
it's like high fiving as well. I mean, do you guys learn how to high five at school? Is it like part of a lesson or something?
No, it's just built in. What, can you not do that?
No, have you ever seen an English person try and high five? We raise our hand and we miss, and it's like, are we doing this or are we not doing this? And then it's like, oh, we handshaking? I don't get it. Oh no, it's just cancel right now.
What about fist bumps? Can you guys do that?
Oh no, that's like the step beyond high fives. And this man hug stuff as well. Where did that come from?
That's hilarious.
It's like you have to move your bits away, and there's like a whole procedure you have to do. I don't get it either.
I need a Venn diagram. I can't figure this out.
No, it just happens automatically. It's like instinctual,
Yeah, sure.
I like your deer pictures you post on Facebook, by the way. Your place looks really nice.
Yeah, it does look nice.
Thank you. Well, you guys are welcome. If you're ever in California, just come by.
What part of the Bay Area are you in? In the south?
I'm actually nearer to Santa Cruz, so I'm at the bottom.
Way south.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah, about an hour away from Palo Alto and about an hour and a half from San Francisco.
Gotcha. Very cool. All right.
It's a great place. I love it.
I'm going to go ahead and sign off because I am getting tired. I have to get in bed. I got up super early this morning.
Yeah. Okay.
Later
I really
on.
appreciate your time, guys, and I love coming on your show. It's great fun.
Yep. Same here, man.
Take care.
Thank you. See you later. Bye.
Alrighty. See ya. Cheers.
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 See, I can't say that. As an American, I can't say cheers, without it sounding stupid.
Oh, really?
I can say
Cheers.
howdy.
Jolly good.
All right.
Good night.
Good
Night.
night. Bye, everybody.